For me.
Aloha and welcome to Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker. We are broadcasting live from the downtown studios of Think Tech Hawaii in Pioneer Plaza, beautiful downtown Honolulu. We have a show today that's going to be very exciting. We routinely broadcast positive stories about business in Hawaii, people who have met the challenges and have made it work for them. We are live on livestream.com every Thursday at 2 o'clock from 2 to 3. And we rebroadcast on YouTube, which you can find our schedule and all the other schedules for shows on thinktechhawaii.com. So today I'd like to welcome Ron Martin, who is the president of Success Dynamics. And we also have Wally Amos, who is the founder of the Cookie Kahuna. And we are going to be talking today with Ron and Wally about how they got to Hawaii and how they made their success here. So, Wally, Ron, welcome. Glad to have you on the show.
Thank you very, very much. Good to be here. Appreciate the offer.
All right, just kicking this right off. Wally, you've been in Hawaii for a while. Can you share a little bit of your background, where you came from, how long you've been here, and how you got to where you're at today?
I was born in Tallahassee, Florida, quite some time ago. At the age of 12, my mother and father divorced. I moved to New York City to live with my Aunt Della, which, by the way, was a very fortuitous move because it was Aunt Della that first made chocolate chip cookies for me. So I think for me, that's been a very insightful experience also because when you think of divorce, you think that the children maybe got the short end of the stick. But for me, if that move had not happened, then we wouldn't be sitting here today. So good comes from every situation. So I lived there, went to high school, dropped out of high school, joined the Air Force. That was another good move because I joined the Air Force and ultimately I got stationed at Hickam Air Force Base, 1954 to 1957.
Wow, so you've been around for a while. You've seen it from statehood days almost.
Yes, before statehood, because when I came here it was 59.
Yeah, okay.
Became a state.
You're
so
right.
that was my introduction to Hawaii, and that ultimately led to me being here today. But I was only here for a couple of years or so, and then I got transferred back to California, and ultimately went back to New York, and wound up doing a variety of things. I worked at Saks Fifth Avenue in New York. I started there as just a clerk, cleaning the hallways and delivering supplies to various offices, and I wound up staying there for about 4 years or so, you know. And but I left because I had done a good job in the mailroom, and I'm a good worker, and I'm able to grasp things and perform at a high level. And so the manager was transferred to another department, and they asked me if I wanted to take over his job. Another guy.
Really?
Yeah. There's a guy named Vince Liberti who had been there when I got there, and he knew that he was going to get that job. And he was a nice guy, but I got the job because I outperformed him. Anyway, I stayed at Saks for 4 years, maybe a little bit more, and I finally left because I got married, had a couple of kids, and I needed more money. I was making $85 a week, and that was a good salary in 1958, 59, 1960. But I thought I was worth more money because I'd done a really great job, and I wanted acknowledgement of a job well done.
Recognition is important.
In the form of compensation. And they said no. And so without having another job, I left. And that took me ultimately to William Morris Agency out of New York City. And I stayed there for a while, left there because the manager, or the top guy in the rock and roll division, I was one of the first agents of first people in the rock and roll division as a secretary to one of the agents that would be there. And ultimately the agency grew and that department grew and I was a part of that growth. And things got shifted around and the lead person left and they gave that position to someone else. So I had to leave again. But you know, you can never be afraid to leave. If you don't feel that you are being treated fairly, if your skills, if your salary is not commensurate with your skills or your contribution to what you're doing, then you gotta go. You gotta think more of yourself than to hang around and be slapped again.
It's always nice to have options.
But you always have options. It's not nice to have options. You always have options.
It's nice to know that.
Yes, it's nice to know you have options.
So how did you finally make your way back to Hawaii?
I came here in 1977. It was February 1977. I came here to sell Famous Amos cookies to McInerney's. And I was here for 4 days, staying at the Hilton Hawaiian Village. And I was with a lady who would ultimately become my wife. And we would go walking through Waikiki and down the beach every morning. And I remembered when I lived here, and I always wanted to move here. And so one morning we were walking, and I just had it. I said, look, you know, we're gonna move here. And she looked at me, she said, you're crazy. So we moved here. So we were both right. I am crazy, and we did move here.
And so you've been here since the 70s.
Yes, I moved here, I think it was about May 1977. And it's just been, it's been fantastic. When I was stationed here, the thing that I liked most about Hawaii is still the thing that I like most about Hawaii is the people. I mean, I really feel a part of Hawaii. I feel that I belong here.
There's no other place like it in the world.
There's no other place. But there are places, it's pretty. There are pretty places in the world, but there's no place in the world that has the warmth, the love, the sincerity, the giving. You can't outgive people here. You know, don't even attempt it. You will lose because they'll keep on giving. So I love Hawaii. This is my home. I feel it's my home. I feel that people accept me as a native son.
Hawaii's lucky to have you, so thank you.
Thank you.
Now, switching to Ron. Ron, how long have you been in Hawaii, and when did you come? What's your background?
It's interesting. You came in May. I came in May also.
77?
No, 81.
81.
That was a few years later. But I had started a home party jewelry company in the 60s. For those of you that remember the 60s, they say you probably weren't there. But, for those of you that might not know what home parties are, this is when a bunch of people would get together in someone's home, usually a woman, for they called it a coffee clutch, and we would come in and sell our jewelry. I had a professional baseball player as a partner. His name was Jim Fregosi. You can Google that. Jimmy was big time. He was making $1 million a year playing baseball in the 60s.
Wow.
And I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. But I had an idea that we could sell quality jewelry in home parties. And the only thing being sold in home parties was like Tupperware and Sarah Coventry, another jewelry company. But it was all plated, cheap, like costume jewelry. And Jimmy believed in me and the idea, and so we kicked it off. Well, to move it forward, 15 years later, we had a 20,000 square foot building on Hollywood Boulevard. That's where I first met Wally. We were trying to figure that out. And this building on Hollywood Boulevard, we were making all of our own jewelry at the time. We had 100 formal offices across the country. And we had somewhere between...
Big operation then.
Yeah, we had somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 independent contractor salespeople who were running anywhere from 2 or 3 to 20 or 30 parties a month. And by the late 70s, we were doing right at $1 million a month in home party jewelry sales. Ooh. Which I have to tell you, in those days was really a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's not too bad today.
Yeah, but it was really a lot of money.
Really a lot of money. And, but there was a lot of travel involved with 100 offices around the country. And this was a day where it was cheaper to get on an airplane and fly to Dallas than to get on the telephone and talk to somebody in Dallas. It's hard for young people to realize.
You could probably get through the airport a little bit quicker than back then, too.
A lot quicker. A lot quicker. My partner used to let the the guy on the curb to keep his car until we got back. But that's another story. Anyway, I got tired of traveling, and May Day is Lay Day in Hawaii, so I chose this day. We used to, at the end of the year, bring a group of people to Hawaii or Acapulco or some other exotic location every year.
As an award for sales activity?
Yeah, for the year, and as an incentive. But everywhere we went, I always wanted to come to Hawaii. And unlike the other locations, I never wanted to leave Hawaii. So I chose May 1, got on a plane, came over here with 3 never goals. I've always been big on goals. I still believe in goals, but these were never goals. I got a little studio penthouse in Waikiki, had a surfboard built, took surfing lessons, and my 3 never goals were never again leave Waikiki. Never again own another pair of shoes, and never again own another car. I know I failed at all 3. But I was strolling down the beach one day, and I had my board under my arm in front of the Royal Hawaiian Hotel. There's a little pink wall there and a restaurant, and I heard my name. And this guy called me over and reminded me who he was. He had come to California and made an offer to buy our company, maybe, I don't know, 5 years prior to this. And he asked me what I was doing. I said I was surfing. He said, you on vacation? I said, no, I live here. He said, where? I said, there. Really? Where do you work? Nowhere. You want a job? No. Why not? Never had one. And so he invited me to join him for lunch, and that's when my life changed here. He had started a little chain of jewelry stores in Waikiki and asked me if I would help him. And I said, absolutely not. So after quite a bit of discussion, Tomo Gwyn was his name, he said, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. He says, would you have lunch with me once a week, right here at this table, for $3,000 a month? And I thought about that for a minute and said, you know, I think I can squeeze that in.
Yeah, I guess.
So we launched an arrangement. And 90 days into that, I told him he needed to get rid of 4 people in his company. And he said, who's going to do what they do? And I said, I will. And he said, how can you do what 4 people do? I said, they don't do anything. And I'm really good at that.
That makes it easy then, doesn't
it?
And Tom said, those are my top people. He said, and I think you'll find they do more than you think they do. But if I can take those 4 people off my payroll, what I'll do is we keep having lunch every week. You can stay independent, you don't have to be an employee. Keep having lunch, and I will double your $3,000, and I'll put you in the car right now and take you down to Schumann Carriage and buy you a brand new Cadillac. That ended that never goal. So that was great. And in the next 5 years of doing this, I discovered retail, and retail discovered me.
Well, you know, we're going to have to take a short break.
That's fine.
And I know you've almost got something coming out.
You hold on to it.
We're gonna hold on to that thought. I think both of you probably discovered retail too, you know, at some point in your after
in
you
different
got to
ways.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
So why don't we hold that, and then we can talk a little bit about that after we come back from break. But thank you. This is Reg Baker, Business in Hawaii. We're here with Wally from the Cookie Kahuna. I'm sorry. And then also Ron Martin from Success Dynamics. And we'll be right back after this break.
Aloha, namaskar, and hello. My name is Anu Hittel, and I host the show called Climate Change Beyond Outrage. We go beyond outrage to find solutions to climate problems facing people, nations, and the world. I hope you will join me here every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. We broadcast live from thinktechhawaii.com. Aloha and bye-bye.
Aloha, my name is Matt, and this is my co-host Justine, and we're Hawaii Food and Farmers Series, coming to you every Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m.
The purpose of the show is to bring on Hawaii's farmers as well as all the other folks, organizations, and individuals that are part of our local food system. We like to get their backstory and history and find out why they're motivated to do the work that they do. And we also like to pick their brain about what they see for the future of local food in Hawaii.
So see us every Thursday at 4 o'clock at Think Tech Hawaii.
Thank you. See you then.
Welcome back. This is Reg Baker, Business in Hawaii. We've got two very dynamic guests today. We've got Wally and Ron, and both of them were about ready to get into a discussion on how they went into the retail business here in Hawaii back in the 70s. I think it was the 70s, so.
For me, it was the 70s.
Yeah, for me, it was the early 80s.
All right, well, Wally, why don't you tell us what you did in the 70s?
Well, when I came here to sell cookies and macaronis, needless to say, I fell in love. And before I left, I had decided that I would move back. It was 1977, 2 years after I had founded Famous Amos. I founded Famous Amos March 10th, 1975. So I made that decision, and I got back to America. And all I did was think about coming back to Hawaii. And I looked for ways to, well, I knew how I was going to do it. I was coming back to sell cookies because that was, I was just launching on the mainland. So the day came, and I planned everything, and I shipped my car over, and I made some friends here from when I visited, and I came over. It was sometime in May 20th, somewhere towards the end of May, and that was it. When I was here doing the promotion, there was a disc jockey. It was top disc jockey in the world, Aku, a crazy fish head. He was crazy, but I did an interview on this show, and we started talking. We kind of hit it off, and he told me something that really stuck with me. He said, "Wally, if you move here to give back to the community, to be a part of the community, and not to see how much money you can take out of the community," he said, "the people will love you and they'll be with you forever." You said you can't outgive the people in Hawaii. That's where I got that thought,
Did that work for you?
It worked beautifully. It really did. I opened my first store. That led to other stores. Business was great. People were so supportive, so I wanted to thank them. My first store was on Keamoku. Keamoku. That was a little ditty I pulled together to identify my location, because I had a way of identifying stores on the mainland that included a song and just rhythm and stuff. But I couldn't find a fit here because the names were so foreign to me, the Hawaiian names. And I remembered the song "Sweet Leilani," and I took the street number, the address, Keamoku, and I had a glass of milk with a Famous Amos bag of cookies on a podium, and I'm behind it. I said, "I'd like to now demonstrate for you the Famous Amos dunk shot." I took a cookie, put it in my mouth, and I dropped the cookie in the glass, and this huge sound effect happened, this wave of milk all over the place. And I came up and I said, 2 points. Keamoku, Keamoku. And I had my kazoo. There's still people that sing that song to me.
It stuck with people.
Oh, no question about it. So that really launched me. And I had a series of retail stores, and I had partners here, and it went, it didn't went, but through the subsequent years that followed, I didn't have a strong management team in LA, where the business was headquartered. And I had a couple of partners here, but it just never really
Having a
worked
strong
good.
management team is always
It's
important.
critical.
But
No, not always important. So ultimately, I lost the company, and I just had to start over so many times.
And then we can talk about what you're doing now in just a minute. But
Yes.
Ron, how did you get started with what you were doing back, I guess, in the 80s?
Back in the 80s in Hawaii, when I first came here, and I was what I just told, that story at lunch, where I agreed to take over these 4 people's jobs, and in this guy's little chain of jewelry stores. And we had a huge success. And he and I bonded at the hip and mentored each other. He taught me retail, I taught him selling, because it's quite amazing. In retail, there's not a lot of selling goes on. Whereas in direct sales,
A lot of order taking, huh?
yeah, people standing behind counters, waiting for, in fact, they even call it waiting on customers.
You're right.
They were waiting on the customer to do something. I found that in most retail stores, people either were pushy or nothing. They either attacked customers or they ignored customers. And I felt there was a better in between. So over the next 5 years in working with him, I developed a system, which I called proactive, no pressure selling. I believe you have to be proactive, and nobody likes to be pressured. And at the end of those 5 years, I broke away from, he sold his company, I broke away, and I started what is now Success Dynamics. And my idea at the time was there was a lot of other businesses out there that could be doing better than they were doing if they just made some little simple changes. You know, the failure rate in business is enormous. Just like it's like 90% or something. And I think that the reason for that is because when someone goes into business for his or herself, that person loses something that the majority of the people in the world have to succeed. Any idea what that is? What do you lose when you go into business that you have to succeed? They have to, most people, it's a boss. I'm my own boss.
Right, my own boss.
I was going to say money, but
It happens.
That too.
Because when people are their own boss, they come in when they feel like it, go home when they feel like it, do what they want, don't do what they don't want. And as a result of that, ultimately their businesses fail. People need bosses. So behavior is the key. And systems will determine behavior. Systems overcome feelings and judgments when determining behavior. So I came up with a system, ultimately put it in a book, Retail Selling Made Easy, and began teaching that system to other retailers. And we've had quite an enormous success. I have hundreds of clients today that I work with. You know, I still feel like I'm retired. I'm looking over my shoulder every day to see if anybody notices I'm not working hard.
well, but that's why if you really enjoy and you're passionate with what you're doing, it doesn't seem like work.
Well, it isn't, you know, and it's not, but doing what you love, just the act of doing what you love, being responsible enough to do what you need to do to keep yourself in business, it's wonderful. And the more you give, the more you get. The more you give to yourself, the more you share with your employees, the more you have at the end of the day. So I agree with Ron's
I already had
philosophy.
I already had my own success. So when I worked with companies, I don't have to worry about me. I can put all my energies into helping them be better at what they're doing. And I find that anybody who tries a little harder at whatever they're doing gets a little better at whatever they're doing, regardless of what that might be. So along the way, I've developed tools and systems that can be applied to anybody in retail today, or any other business for that matter. And my books were a way of presenting them. We've had some fun talking about some of these books. They were published in 1996. I'm now up to 8 books.
Wow, so you've had 8 books published so far.
Well, yeah, the first 3 were published in hardcover that you see on the desk here. And then later, I went into publishing on Kindle and iBooks. And I did that for a few reasons. One is no more inventory.
That's right. You can just get them published on demand almost.
And also, there's no cost of goods to speak of. So when people buy books, they go online, they buy a book, and I get a notice from Amazon that the book was sold. And it's kind of neat.
That's the kind of book I want. Maybe we should both write a book like
Maybe
that.
so.
you know?
I've written 9 books. My books are motivational.
First liar didn't have a chance. What did I say, 8? You said 9? I'm just kidding.
But
I've been thinking about writing 10.
I'll help you.
Oh, I never thought I'd write anything, you know. High school dropout. English was not one of my majors. But, you know, here's the thing. Life, it just happens. And if you are alert, if you have some initiative, if you come up with a fairly decent idea and you give that idea all the energy, the time, the commitment that it needs, you really will be successful. If your goal is not, I think, to make a lot of money, but to give a good product, to give good service, putting your customers first and not, you know, go at it with a greedy to say how much money you're going to make. But if you just do what you do and you do best and you're having fun doing it, man, I tell you, success will find you every time. I really believe that, because that's been my story over and over and over, because I've had many success stories because I've lost businesses so many times.
Well, and this sounds like another one of your successes. I mean, this is the Cookie Kahuna,
Cookie Kahuna
and this is different from what you had before. So
Well,
this is a new product, and
it's different in the terms in the fact that I've got different packaging, I got a different name, but the format is still about cookies. I got to sell them to customers. You know, I got to have them made or make them. I got to promote them. So all of those elements are the same. But the thing that I think sets my cookies apart from anybody's cookies is the taste of my product. When I started Famous Amos 41 years ago, coming up March 10th in Hollywood, California, I made a great cookie. People were just raving about the taste of it. So they're still raving about the taste of it. On here, I say the original taste that made me famous. So this is the cookie that made me famous.
where can they find these cookies if they want to buy some?
You can get them at Costco. Come to Hawaii. We're on all 4 Costco locations on Oahu. But it's so much easier than that. Go to thecookiekahuna.com. Thecookiekahuna.com. And we sell all 3 flavors: chocolate chip with pecan, pure butter, chocolate's the first ingredient, pure vanilla extract, lots of aloha, butterscotch with macadamia nuts, those nuts that are famous for starting in Hawaii. This cookie has a wonderful flavor to it, and it's always, again, about the taste. But this is the leader of all cookies. Chocolate chip cookie. It's the #1 cookie. Is a chocolate chip cookie, and I still think that I make one of the best.
So
Chocolate is the first ingredient. Pure butter, pure vanilla extract. It's a real cookie.
Now, Wally, you're in the bakery every day cooking all this stuff?
No. Thank goodness I am out of the bakery, but I just really got out with this company. So 40 years, you know, I've been baking cookies, but it takes its toll on you. But
You stay thin.
Yeah, you stay thin. Well, the more you eat, the thinner you get, you know. But we use a bakery in Los Angeles to make it. But the headquarters for the company is here, and as I say, our basic brick and mortar sales right now is here at the 4 Costco locations on Oahu. And
Now, Ron, we're going to be entering another break opportunity here, but when we come back, maybe we can talk a little bit about how have you done any work with Wally in the past? Have you guys collaborated on anything? Or?
He's my client.
we got a story to tell.
All right. Well, great. We're going to take a quick 60-second break, and then we're going to come back, and maybe we can go into that story. Now, I got to warn the audience a little bit. Some of these stories can get kind of colorful. So,
No.
No pun intended.
But this is Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker. We're going to go on a short 60-second break, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jay Fidel. I'm host of Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, which is our flagship show, which plays 4 to 5 p.m. every Wednesday. And the supporters of that show are Hawaii Energy Policy Forum and Hawaii Energy. And luckily enough, we have representatives of both of them right here today to tell you more about what they think about the show. Sharon Moriwaki at my left is co-chair of Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. and she goes first. Sharon?
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. I'm so glad that we have this Hawaii, the state of clean energy. This was 2 years ago when we started this, and we have continued it because it's so important, and there's so many developments happening across the state. And we hope you'll tune in every Wednesday, 4 to 5. It's wonderful.
And Ray is Hawaii Energy. Ray, what is your thought about the same subject?
Well, I agree completely with Sharon that we are talking about every Wednesday, 4 to 5. We talk about some of the most important subjects that are affecting the islands now and into the future. Energy, clean energy, we need it. We often run into new ideas that we had not thought about before. We did just today, and I think we're going to have more of that in the future. So come on down and watch us 4 to 5 on Wednesdays, and we'll see what happens.
We'll see you then. Aloha.
Aloha.
3, 2. Welcome back. This is Reg Baker, Business in Hawaii, and I'm here with Wally Amos, who is the founder and owner of the Cookie Kahuna. And then we have Ron Martin, who is the president of Success Dynamics. We were just going to get into how the linkage occurs here between these two dynamic individuals. And Ron, you mentioned that Wally had been a client.
He was. As I said, I discovered retail, and Wally discovered retail in Hawaii, so it was a natural, I already knew him. So I created a product that I shared with him, and he jumped on. And it's a product that today is going to take the place of all of my in-person stuff. It's something that I'm very passionate about because it's the first and only thing that I've ever done where I can make a difference in a business without having to physically show up. And it's extremely cost effective, more so even than my books. And I call it the Morning Report. And it came about because as I'm working with retailers, I noticed that everybody has spreadsheets. Every business has spreadsheets, but spreadsheets don't motivate salespeople. Someone told me once if the Morning Report had been created by a computer person, it never would have worked. Because you put a spreadsheet in front of a salesperson and their eyes glaze over. They don't, their minds don't think in columns of numbers like yours perhaps do.
Well, gee, thanks, Ron.
Well, accountants, and, people that are into numbers and bankers.
I was just going to say spreadsheets are starting to get me a little excited.
And owners of companies, they look at a spreadsheet, and where do their eyes go? Bottom line.
Yeah.
Yet there's all this other data in there that could be used to motivate people to try harder. So when I learned how to use a computer, I've owned computers since the 60s when they were big as this room that
Did
we're
they have
sitting in.
computers in the 60s? Oh, yeah, they were big. They were big.
They were
I
really
couldn't
big.
afford one,
And
so I didn't have one.
I owned them, but I couldn't operate them.
Yeah,
I
they
couldn't
were
touch them. Today, my iPhone does more than they did.
True.
And so when I learned how to use a computer, I thought maybe I could take these complicated spreadsheets that nobody looks at and reformat them into a way that salespeople would look at and get motivated. And in the process, create a platform for contests and incentives and mainly, more than anything else, recognition. Because people will work harder for recognition than they will for money, and recognition is lacking, especially in sales. Somebody's working all by themselves today, they have a really great day, nobody else sees it, they don't know it, nobody calls them up and pats them on the back. So the Morning Report makes sure, it institutionalizes recognition. And we now have hundreds of companies all over the country that are using the Morning Report.
Wow.
If you want to see it, you can see it at ronsmorningreport.com.
RonsMorningReport.com.
You know, Ron, when I had my retail business, he's so in tune with retail and with the details of retail, and he was very, very helpful and helping me know what to look for, what to search for, what to use. You know, and I get his Morning Report every day, and there's so much helpful information there because he has an insight into selling and into retail that a lot of people don't, and he shares that. He gets behind the business. He gets behind the scenes on what you have to do to grow your business. And not a lot of people to tell you what that is.
You know, this is fascinating because everybody talks about big data and drilling down to the little data. You know, it sounds like you've been doing this for a long time. I mean, you were really ahead of your times.
Well, perhaps. A lot of my motivation and inspiration goes back to my first business partner I mentioned, Jim Fregosi, baseball player. Jimmy was a pro, and I saw the difference between pros and amateurs and decided I'd rather be a pro. And Jimmy got a tremendous amount of attention. These guys, we were in Anaheim, California. He's playing for the Angels. We had season seats. And after the game, we'd all go out and have a drink. And we could not go into a restaurant, a bar, or any place that he wasn't seen and recognized. And he'd come in, he'd open up his, I still see him pulling out his warm-up jacket with notes from people in the bleachers and autographs. People just hounded him. So anyway, we were having lunch one day, and this is a great story. And Jimmy said, well, Ron, I got to get out to the ballpark and take batting practice. And I hated to see him leave because that's when the recognition left, because I was hoping to get some overflow. And Jimmy said, I got to take batting practice. And I said, you got to take batting practice? I said, Jimmy, you've done nothing but hit baseballs your whole life. Why do you have to take batting practice? And he said, Ron, we don't take batting practice to learn how to hit the ball. We all know how to hit the ball. We take batting practice to get our minds into tonight's game. Because I can't help it. On the way out to the ballpark, I got a little bit of little Jimmy going on in my head, his son. And I got a little bit of Jan going on, his wife. And I got a little bit of this lunch going on, and a little bit of last night's game going on, and a little bit of everything else going on. And this part here says it all, and this is where I get goosebumps. He says, but to play at this level, you can't have anything else on your mind than tonight's game. And when we put on the uniform and we go out and start taking batting practice, all that other stuff goes away, and we get focused on tonight's game.
Focus. Follow one course until successful.
Yeah.
Focus is a great, great word. And his morning report will show you what to focus on. Because a lot of business people, they're scattered, they're all over the place. But he can bring it all in. I attended a session, because he does sessions with clients that he have here in Hawaii. And I attended one of his sessions down at Alma Moana Center. It was incredible. I mean, he's got so much knowledge, and he's organized it in such a way, it's common sense and anybody can understand it. And it works if you work it. He can give you the information, but he can't force you to use it.
You have to act on it.
You have to act on it,
And
but
I
he
think
can show you what it is.
We'll use that word as the word of the day, focus. Because
Focus.
I think and we've all been business owners, we've all
Yes.
had our own, and we know that we
Right.
get pulled in a lot of different directions.
Right.
And yes, sales is critical.
Yeah.
But we also have a lot, how we're gonna make payroll, how we're gonna do this, the bank is calling, et cetera, et cetera.
But it's all about sales, because the best way to make payroll is to make more sales.
Make more sales. Yeah. It is about sales, no.
And-
That's where it all starts.
And people forget that. And people there's an image out there about salespeople. People don't like salespeople. People just don't like salespeople. Salespeople don't like salespeople. I was invited to speak to the sales and marketing executives of Honolulu. I've done it a couple times.
It's a great organization.
Yes. And the first time I spoke, I asked her on the phone, can I bring some books and sell some books? First I asked her how much the fee was, and she said, we don't pay speakers. And I said, okay. She said, sure, bring your books. So I got a phone call 2 days before the event. Oh, Ron, sorry to tell you this, but somebody on our board of directors pointed out that we don't allow any selling at any of our events.
Wait a minute. This is a sales organization?
Yeah.
Okay.
Said, well, we hope you'll still come because people are looking forward to hearing you. And I said, I will. And I did. But I made that the topic of my talk. I said, what is it about selling that the sales and marketing executives of Honolulu don't want any part of it going on at their meetings? And I got to tell you, I sold a lot of books the next day on my website. But it's true, because salespeople have given selling a bad name. Wally talks a lot about giving. If you go into my book and look up the definition of selling, starts with that word. Selling is giving the customer sufficient information to make an intelligent buying decision, whether that be yes or no. No's okay. And if you can't be okay with no to the wrong product, you'll never get yes to the right product.
So it's an educational process.
Yeah, and you see, if I'm selling T-shirts and I tell you that T-shirt's 100% cotton, and you say, oh, you know, I'm allergic to cotton. Well, I did my job. I didn't sell the T-shirt, but I did my job. But if I say, oh, that's okay, you know, allergies wear off, or maybe you could get it as a gift for somebody, now I become that salesperson that people don't like.
But it's not selling, or the people often do. They want to make you buy something, oftentimes that you don't need, rather than showing you why you need the product, rather than showing you the benefit of the product and what it will do for you.
It is so much easier to sell what the customer wants to buy than what you want to sell. I have a client called Brighton Collectibles. I don't know, a lot of people I'm sure have heard of Brighton. It's a huge company. And Jerry, the owner, told me this. We built our empire. He wholesales to 6,000 stores. He says, we built our empire by requiring our salespeople to come to a meeting once a week with 2 no's. They had to find 2 stores that said, no, we do not want to sell your product in our store. And then why not? And I said, wow, Jerry, that sounds like kind of a negative meeting, all these no's. He said, you'd be amazed how many times what we heard was, well, I thought this was going to be one of my no's. But they said, okay. They had to look for the no's. And in looking for the no's, they found a lot of yeses that they otherwise would have just drove by and not even bother going in because they thought it was going to be a no.
That's a great story.
So there's nothing wrong with no. No's
Every
okay.
experience is a learning opportunity also, and you have to have an open mind to see that. And if you go into it thinking that there's a win here somewhere, and there's a win-win somewhere. It's not just you winning, but it's helping the other person to win also.
You know, we're entering into our last minute or so of the show. It's gone very quickly, and I'd like to just leave a little bit of time, an opportunity maybe. You know, Wally, do you have any final words of wisdom in 30 seconds or less that you might want to
Be your
leave
best.
with the audience?
Be your best. Sell quality. Sell who you are at your core. Because you can't make people buy things, but you can lead them to why, and you could be the why. So be your best. Be honest. Be honest. Tell the truth.
Very good. Ron?
Mine is join the KGB. And for those of you that are a little older, this is not a Russian intelligence agency.
Okay, all right. Good to hear.
This stands for keep getting better. When I hear
Good
people say,
advice.
I did the best I could, I go, God, I hope not.
Yeah.
Because there's
Keep getting
always
better.
a little bit of juice left in the orange. There's always a little toothpaste left in the tube. There's always a little bit left on the table.
Can always do more.
You can always do more. You can
Always
always
do
be
more.
better, and it's not until you stop trying to be better. So join the KGB.
All right, I love that. KGB, here we come.
I want to join and get you a kazoo.
And with that,
You got a bass kazoo, you know.
I think I just lost control.
Look, you come to the end, so.
Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you very
Certainly
much.
appreciate it.
It was great.
This is Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker. We air live every Thursday at 2 o'clock at the ThinkSet Studios in downtown Honolulu. Please join us next week and every Thursday. And you can find the rest of our programming for ThinkTech Hawaii on thinktechhawaii.com. Thank you to our studio staff and certainly our guests, and we'll see you next week. Aloha.